Hey people, welcome to the Run Testers and to my first run look at the new 361 Ventus. This is a mid-stack daily trainer that shoots for luxurious cushioning without too much weight, cruising comfort if you like. I've taken it for some early miles and I'm going to get into my first impressions right now. So details first then, when it comes to stack height, the Ventus packs 35mm on the hill, 27mm on the forefoot for an 8mm drop. It weighs in at 8.9 ounces or 254 grams in a UK men's 8.5 test shoe. That's in the Asics Nova Blast 5 kind of territory on weight. On price, it's £140 in the UK or $160 in the US. Let's give you a quick whiz around the 361 Ventus, then starting with the midsole, where you've got a dual foam setup that combines a layer of Primo foam, that's a supercritical EVA PEBA blend. That's working with a layer of new PEBA CQT Extreme 3 foam. I'm not saying that again. That layer is closer to the foot. Now this new PEBA foam has a lower density and a lighter weight, and according to 361 you're going to get a higher rate of return, 75%. That's the stats they've given us. By comparison to some of the max stack daily trainers we're now seeing, I think this is now be considered like a mid-stacked, or at least a little more conservative in terms of that midsole. And you've also got some sort of rockering up the front here as well. Up top you've got recycled yarn mesh uppers made with 35% recycled yarn. They are very soft, they are quite thick. You get medium padded gusseted tongues, quite generously padded heel collars here. Well, actually really quite generously padded heel collars with padding that runs quite far down into the heel rather than the sort of the regular roll top that's sort of higher up. It's all on the comfy and plush side. When you flip them over, there's a generous covering of outsole rubber for grip and durability. There's what 361 calls gecko grip in the forefoot, and you've got some higher abrasion rubber to protect those heel impact zones, these sort of strike zones here. So for my early miles, I've done 3 runs in the 361 Ventus. I've done one 6k really easy. I've done one mixed pace 10k run and a fairly pacey 2 miler. Before I get into the why, my overarching response to this shoe is that it's kind of competent. It sort of sits in that sort of competent, slightly more traditional, offers much of what you want in a good everyday shoe. There's good easy stepping comfort, soft cocooning, sort of without feeling overly plush. The uppers are a little thick. I fear maybe a bit hot in the summer, but it feels light for the plushness generally. And generally, I like the way that they felt immediately on the foot. Now, when I got moving, the dual foam combination was pretty well balanced, soft but not too soggy. There is some energy here coming back, but it's all sort of fairly controlled. This isn't an overly bouncy or springy shoe, not least compared to some of the others that we've been testing recently. But that made for an encouraging but stable ride, certainly on the easier miles. It also returned a bit when I moved up through the gears. It's not the liveliest daily trainer, but it's not the dullest either. It's kind of somewhere happily in between. If you like some softness, it does deliver that, but it stops just short of being soggy. If you want all of that from a lower stack than the likes of the Nova Blast 5, then it does have a more traditional feel. I'd call this a competent cruiser. I get the sense it's a shoe you can run long and steady in sort of happy comfort, and it'll be okay if you need to throw in a few faster miles as well. It kind of reminded me a little of like a lower stack sort of Brooks Glycerin 21 or 22, maybe even a firmer, more stable Mizuno Neo Zen. I also ran in some wet and slightly frosty conditions that were a good challenge for the grip here, and that performed well enough in those conditions. This stuck to the road nicely on those early miles. First impressions then, and after my initial runs, my immediate take on the 361 Ventus is that it's doing a lot right. I'll be doing more testing for the full review, but I like the balance of the dual foam midsole here. I like the way it feels on the foot, and if 361 were aiming for cruising comfort, my early miles suggest that they've hit the spot. This shoe definitely drops into a basket of kind of competent, steady milers that you can kind of cruise in. It's a mix of good reliability underfoot, a stable ride with a balanced softness, a bit of springiness and energy. It's maybe not the most exciting shoe I've ever run in. There are punchier daily trainers out there, but nothing's overdone here, I don't think, except perhaps you've got these crazy long laces and you've got these slightly dense uppers. But as I said, I'll be putting it through more miles before delivering the final verdict. But for now, first impressions, I think at £140 or $160, there's quite a lot to like in this shoe. Quick word on fit then, and I ran in my regular UK 8.5 running shoe size, and overall I would describe the fit as
Nicely roomy in the toe box. There's plenty of clearance towards the end. You can see I've got a full thumb's width here, and there's lots of clearance across the top of the toes. You've got these sort of pliable, malleable uppers, so they flex really nicely. That creates a sort of sock-like kind of fit. So there's loads of wiggle room, nice and airy. It's all quite kind of roomy and sort of loose up the top there. They do come back a little bit narrow, but it's not tight because those uppers are so unstructured. You know, they're sort of knit. They do move nicely, so you don't get any toe knuckle pinching. But the shoe, you can see it does come back quite narrow. Moving back into the midfoot, I get good hold. It's really easy to lock them down. Nice padded tongue to take the lace pinch off. And I can lace them in quite snug and secure across the midfoot without any discomfort. And then those really padded heel collars also hold my heel really nicely, really well. I did have a little bit of bagginess here, just below the ankle. Didn't really notice it too much on the run, but it is a little bit loose, I find. But overall, I think the fit is nice and comfortable. It's got that kind of nice roomy fit that I would look for in a happy kind of cruising shoe, and I would recommend going true to size in these.
So there you have it. That's been our first run look at the 361 Ventus. Hope you found it useful. We'd appreciate a subscribe if you're not already, and ring that bell to be notified when that and other videos land on the channel. If you're interested in daily trainers, I'm popping a video on screen now that you should definitely go and watch. Otherwise, thanks very much for stopping by, and until next time, happy running, people.